Welcome to this lesson to help you learn English with the news. We're going to read a news article together so you can learn advanced vocabulary, advanced grammar, and correct pronunciation in a fun and engaging way. Let's get started.
Let me read the headline of our article, 3 things that relieve stress and boost your happiness. Now, first, let's talk about relieve and stress. Relieve is a verb, and we use this verb specifically with something like a symptom, an illness, an ache, or a pain. And relieve means to either eliminate or reduce. So if I have a headache, which would be an ache or a pain, then I could take a pill to relieve my headache, relieve my sore throat, relieve my stuffy nose, for example. Now notice the pronunciation here. This beginning part is our schwa sound, relieve, relieve. The emphasis is on the second syllable, and it's pronounced like the word leave, leave. So I just add a quick It's unstressed, so it sounds more like R. And then this is my stressed sound, relieve, relieve stress. So let me write my other example sentence. This pill will help relieve your headache, for example. Okay, and boost means to increase, And you can use this in a more general context. For example, you might want to boost your vocabulary. I hope this lesson will help you boost your vocabulary, boost your speaking skills, boost your pronunciation, increase. Let's continue on and talk about these 3 things. Number 1, claim more time for yourself. Fitting even one more thing into an already overpacked day can feel like an impossible task. Let's take a look at this. Overpacked. So we have our noun day, and then overpacked is our adjective which describes our day. Now, I could just say into an already packed day. Packed as an adjective is another way of saying busy. So if you have a packed day, if you look in your calendar, you have a lot of different appointments, tasks, meetings, things to do. That's a packed day. Now, over, when we add over to our adjective, it means more than desirable. You might say, I overslept. So in this case, I'm adding over to my verb slept. I slept. I overslept, which means more than desirable. I slept too much. I slept too much, which can be a bad thing. I don't know about you, but for me, when I oversleep, I actually get a headache. So I might need to take a pill to, remember, relieve my headache. You might overwork, which means work too much. I overworked, and now I'm exhausted. So you can add it to a verb, or here you can add it to an adjective. So it means more busy than desirable than wanted. So of course, fitting one more thing is impossible. But if you're constantly doing for everyone but yourself, so if you're constantly doing things for everyone but yourself, it's time to reclaim space in your own life. All right, so they're saying you need to take time for yourself. Reclaim space in your own life. Take time for yourself. This means taking a hard look at your to-do list. Now, a to-do list, I think this is pretty obvious, but it's a list of everything you need to do. And those things you need to do, they could be tasks, appointments, meetings, a list of everything you need to do. But notice here, to do is being used as an adjective to describe your list. Now, I always keep a to-do list, and I've tried using apps and different ways, but for me, the most effective is just writing it down on a piece of paper. And notice how this is crossed off. So you write your task. And then for me, the best part is crossing off that task. So when you finish it, you cross it off. I don't know about you. Do you keep a to-do list? I love crossing off those tasks. Okay, and overflowing. We're seeing this again. Over means more than desirable. But let's see what the context is. An overflowing workload. So that's saying your workload is just too heavy. That's a good adjective because we describe workload. We don't use the adjective big or small. I have a big workload. We don't say that. You could say, I have a heavy workload. Now, first, if you don't know, workload is the term to describe the amount of work you do in a day. So heavy means you have many, many tasks to do that day or that week, that month. Now, the opposite of heavy is I have a light workload today. So you might tell a colleague, I have a light workload today, so if you need any help, let me know. Or if your colleague asks you for help, you can say, sorry, I have a really heavy workload today. Or you could say, sorry, I have a long to-do list. You wouldn't say a heavy to-do list. You could say, I have a long to-do list. I have a long to-do list. And this adjective makes sense, right? Because right now, I only had 2 items on my to-do list, and that's short. But if I have this entire page, that would be long, short, right? Okay, so heavy workload, light workload, long to-do list, short to-do list. I created a free lesson PDF that summarizes all the notes from this lesson. You can find that in the description and in the comment section. Let's continue on. So an overflowing workload, that's just another way of saying heavy workload, is not a badge of honor. A badge of honor is if I was awarded something and I wear it with pride. I wear it with pride. But a lot of people use their to-do list as a sense of pride. I have a heavy workload. I must be very important. That's like a badge of honor, something that tells people that they should be proud of you because you have a long to-do list or a heavy workload. But this article is saying it's not a badge of honor. It's not something to be proud of. And it doesn't mean you're productive. More often than not, it's just a precursor to exhaustion and burnout. Let's talk about precursor. This is a noun, and this simply means it happens before. So let me write that definition for you. A precursor is something that happened or existed before another thing. So in this case, they're saying that your heavy workload, that existed, and then it existed before your exhaustion. So it's saying that's what caused it. So you could say she is exhausted because of her heavy workload. Now, notice I just said she is exhausted. And let's compare that to here, which is exhaustion. Exhaustion is the noun form, and to be exhausted with our verb to be, I have she is. If I change the subject to they, it would be they are exhausted. So I'll just change it back to she is exhausted because she has a heavy workload. I could say she is burned out because she has a heavy workload as well. So here you could also use it as that adjective form. I'm burned out. She's burned out. And burnout is the noun form. Okay, let's continue on. Go down that list. So again, remember, we're talking about our to-do list. So if I'm here at the top and I have a task right here, well, I'm going down my to-do list. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm going down my to-do list and start asking questions. What else can you delegate? So if I delegate, let's say I have a task right here. That did nothing. Let me create a task right here. So if I delegate this, it means I am not going to do it. I'm going to ask someone else, my assistant, a coworker, a colleague. I'm going to delegate it. So that's when you assign responsibility to someone else. You give it to someone else in simple terms. Let me write that here. To assign responsibility. Okay, that's to delegate. Now, what can you defer to a later date? So defer, that's another way of saying postpone. So let's say I delegate this task. Now, this one is supposed to be due today at 2:00 p.m. But because my workload is so heavy, because my to-do list is so long, I can say, well, you know what? Today at 2:00, that's not possible. That's going to create a lot of stress. So I'm going to defer this, postpone this to 2 days from now, next week. So postpone, you do it at a later date. Now you can say defer or postpone interchangeably. Honestly, I hear postpone more commonly, but defer is common as well. Postpone, so to do at a later date. At a later date, that's postpone or defer. And finally, you can delete entirely. So delete is when I have a task and I just cross it off. I get rid of it. I eliminate it. I delete it. Few things in life are truly urgent. So what's your actual level of accountability? Release some tasks and reclaim that time for yourself. So obviously, if I had this very long to-do list, I delegate some, I delete some, and I defer other tasks, all of a sudden my long to-do list is going to become short, and I'm going to have all this additional time that I can spend on myself, which will help me relieve stress and boost happiness, is what the article is saying. Okay. So let's take a look here at our number 2, which is increase your energy. Now, I made a note here because increase is in our imperative, and the imperative verb tense is when you just use the base verb. So right here, if I said to increase, this is the infinitive. And if I get rid of to, well, then I just have increase, and this is the base verb. Now, the imperative is used for instructions, directions, orders, and commands. So if I tell you, stop talking, that's a command, an instruction, an order, and I'm putting it in the imperative, just the base verb. Increase your energy. Let's continue on. Lightening your load. Now this makes sense, right? Lightening your load, to lighten your load. It makes sense. It should at least, because we already talked about the adjective light to describe your workload. And here, load, well, this is short for workload. I can shorten it to just load because it's obvious based on context. I already know we're talking about workload, so it's okay to shorten it to simply load. To lighten your load means to reduce your workload, to eliminate some of your tasks, right? Now, lightening your load goes a long way toward reducing fatigue. Let's talk about this, to go a long way toward something else. This is a good expression, and it simply means to greatly help. So this, lightening your load, This greatly helps, and then it greatly helps to do what? To reduce your fatigue. Let me show you an example. Speaking out loud goes a long way toward, this is our expression, goes a long way toward boosting your confidence. So speaking out loud, this could represent X, greatly helps, and then the result is Y. So X goes a long way toward, greatly helps, Y. Now, my verb is the verb go. Right now is conjugated with third person singular because speaking out loud is represented by the subject it. It goes a long way. If I had more than one thing and I said those things, well, then that would be the subject they, and I would have to change my verb to go. So you have to conjugate your verb. I'll just put it back to speaking out loud. It goes a long way toward. So that's a great expression. Reducing fatigue. In fact, it's probably the most important way to begin. Follow that with small steps toward your health and wellness goals. Grab that extra 15 minutes of sleep. Now here, the verb grab, which is in our imperative because it's giving you it as an instruction, as a command. Grab that extra 15 minutes of sleep. Grab is an informal way of saying have or take. So here, I could say, I'm going to grab a coffee. We commonly say this even at restaurants if the person asks you, oh, what would you like? And I can say, oh, I'm going to grab a coffee. I'm going to have a coffee or take a coffee. Both of them can be used. It's informal. It's not slang, but it is informal. Now, I gave another example. Can I grab a pen? Again, this could be have or take. So if your coworker has 3 pens on her desk and you need a pen, oh, hey, can I grab a pen? Just a casual way of saying it. So grab that extra 15 minutes of sleep. Do some food prep. Now, prep, this is short for preparation. Preparation. Food prep is when you prepare food in advance. So this is a very common time-saving activity. Let's say every day for lunch you have a salad. Well, instead of chopping up your vegetables every day at lunch, well, you could do food prep on Sunday, cut up all your vegetables on Sunday, and then throughout the week you can just take your cut vegetables and put them in a bowl and have a salad. So that would be food prep. Do some food prep that ensures you're fueling your body in healthy ways. Allow yourself a walk around the neighborhood. Slow down, breathe, and drink your water. You'll be surprised how all these little changes lead to higher energy levels across the board. Now, I highlighted this one. I really like this expression, across the board. This simply means in all categories. So as an example, I could say we increased, or I could use boosted because we already learned that. We boosted our sales across the board. So if I have product A, product B, product C, well, those could be the different categories of products. So it's saying all products increased sales. We increased our sales across the board. Or another example, more specific to you, I scored a level 8 across the board. So if you're doing your IELTS, you have a category for speaking, for writing, for grammar. Now, if all those categories across the board. So it's a great expression. Okay, step 3, improve your mindset. Again, this is in the imperative form. Improve your mindset. Mindset also affects energy levels. Optimists tend to get less bogged down by challenges. All right, first, let's talk about optimists. You've probably heard the classic question, you take a glass, and then what do you say? Is this glass half full or half empty? You've probably heard that question before, right? Is this glass half full or half empty? An optimist will look at this glass and say it's half full because optimists see the positive in situations. Now, what's the opposite of an optimist? The opposite of an optimist is a pessimist. A pessimist will look at this glass and say it's half empty because pessimists see the negative in situations. So let me summarize that here. Optimists see the positive in situations and pessimists see the negative in situations. I'll just add an S there. It should be situations, all situations. Now, I see this a lot with my students. I have a lot of pessimistic students, but I will tell you, it is always my optimistic students, to use the adjective, it's my optimistic students who see results because they look at getting a 6 out of 10 as, wow, I got 6 correct. That's amazing. I'm improving. A pessimist, I can't believe I got 4 wrong. I'm an idiot. I'm so dumb. I'm never going to learn. And then they quit because they see the negative. But an optimist, they are motivated to keep improving because they see the positive. So that's a little side bonus lesson for you on optimists and pessimists. Okay, now let's talk about this expression, to be bogged down by. This is when you're so involved in something and that something is usually difficult or complicated, but you can't do anything else. So all of your attention is on that one thing. Now, in this case, it's negative because if you're bogged down by challenges, it means you're so focused on that one challenge that you can't do anything else. So you're not effective in other areas. Now, you can get bogged down or you can simply be bogged down. So remember that get is for the transition from not bogged down to bogged down, and then be is to describe your current state. So optimists tend to get less bogged down by challenges, which means they generally experience less stress and can manage it more effectively when it's unavoidable. So keep a positive attitude and surround yourself with people who do the same. Now, here is our imperative again. So notice how the sentence starts with the base verb. This is the imperative. It's the base verb, imperative. And they're doing that starting with the base verb because they're providing a direction or instruction. They're telling you, keep a positive attitude. So that's the instruction or the direction to you, and surround yourself with people who do the same. Now, this is also in the imperative because when we have and, the verb tenses need to match. So if this were in the present continuous, then the verb tense after and would also be in the present continuous. So because this is in the imperative, surround is also in the imperative. Imperative, again, which means it's just the base verb. And that was the end of the article. So I hope you learned a lot of new vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and you also had 3 tips to help you reduce your stress, which is awesome. So now what I'll do is I'll read the article from start to finish, and this time you can focus on my pronunciation. 3 things that relieve stress and boost your happiness. Number 1, claim more time for yourself. Fitting even one more thing into an already overpacked day can feel like an impossible task. But if you're constantly doing for everyone but yourself, it's time to reclaim space in your own life. This means taking a hard look at your to-do list. An overflowing workload is not a badge of honor, and it doesn't mean you are productive. More often than not, it's just a precursor to exhaustion and burnout. Go down that list and start asking questions. What can you delegate to someone else? What can you defer to a later date? And what can you delete entirely? Few things in life are truly urgent. So what's your actual level of accountability? Release some tasks and reclaim that time for yourself. Number 2, increase your energy. Lightening your load goes a long way toward reducing fatigue. In fact, is probably the most important way to begin. Follow that with small steps toward your health and wellness goals. Grab that extra 15 minutes of sleep. Do some food prep that ensures you're fueling your body in healthy ways. Allow yourself a walk around the neighborhood. Slow down, breathe, and drink your water. You'll be surprised how all these little changes lead to higher energy levels across the board. Number 3, improve your mindset. Mindset also affects energy levels. Optimists tend to get less bogged down by challenges, which means they generally experience less stress and can manage it more effectively when it's unavoidable. Keep a positive attitude and surround yourself with people who do the same.
Are you ready to keep learning? You can review your next news article right now and make sure you get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can get it from my website right here and then get started with your next lesson.